Hey, Jocelyn, I know you wanted to have me give you a little recap about what was going on in chapter 4 because you didn't get a chance to read it, and that's totally fine. I have my book right here, so I'm just going to skim through it a little bit, share with you a couple of things that you might have that you weren't able to get to. So, overall, chapter 4, it's about tactical coaching. So, what that basically means is that what are the tactics that you can use to best help to coach somebody? Everybody's different, everybody has unique problems. So, what are the common ones that come up, and what are the ways that you can help somebody? So, how it starts is he gives an acronym called A growth, and it's kind of the indicator to see if somebody's willing to be coached, and if you can, that's kind of where you can start. The acronym, what it stands for is accountability, gap, responsibility and ownership, willingness, trust, and honesty. All the things, when they come together, they can show if somebody really does care, and they're kind of your acid test to see if somebody really does want to be trained. We'll talk about the gap a little bit more later, so keep that one in mind. Also, it says that when you coach somebody, you need to coach them from the inside out. I thought of it a lot like 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, that you can't just change somebody from the outside, but instead you should coach somebody to change who they are in the inside, who they really are, the core values, the things they really care about, and that's what you really should coach for. Also, that you shouldn't coach people who are kind of the squeaky wheel. That you should look for those who would most benefit from the coaching, not because they're necessarily asking for it or they're the worst performer, but somebody who has a lot of room to improve and is willing to change and willing to grow. So as well, I talked about what the gap was. I kind of just glossed over just to kind of give you a quick recap of what it is. But the gap is, what are they missing? When you think of the gap, I think of it like this is where they are now, but this is where they want to be, and there's a gap in between them. Kind of like, I think of it like a ravine. And what bridge can you build that's going to get them to cross that gap? So when it comes to what tactics you're going to choose, you should put your person who you're thinking of in the mindset of what is their gap and how am I going to help that? And how you help that, how it's actually applicable to you, is that you think of certain tactics, whether it's training or coaching or a combination of the two, that you can help these people to build a bridge over their gap. So it talked about earlier in the book, training is kind of the what, and the coaching is kind of the how. That's how I see it. So if somebody is lacking fundamental skills, they're new, they're don't know a lot about an area, that training can fix that because it's the what they're gonna do. If they're interpersonal skills, or they're struggling with connecting with people, or there's something on the sales call that isn't working, that's more of the how. So that's where coaching can come in to try to help them to become a little bit better. Now, I know you did ask me as well, kind of what the most important would be, how you'd use this information. And what you could do, the most important thing is that before you go into a coaching, if there's somebody who you're trying to help, that you always need to make a plan. And as you make a plan, think about what that person's good at, what they're bad at, and before you get into them, make sure you have a plan and a tactic that you can go into that you think might be their problem. And there aren't an infinite number of problems. There are, sales, they're pretty common with the things that can happen. So because there are so many reoccurring problems, you can figure out what they're doing based on just a select number of things that can happen. So come up with a plan, make a plan for what you're going to do to help them. Are you going to train them? Are you going to coach them? Are you going to do both? And then make that all come together to see how you're going to help them to mind the gap and to make that bridge to solve the real main problems that you're doing. So that's the most beneficial things that you can grab out of this chapter. So glad I could help.